everybody. So I need to figure out how to share this new stream with you all. So give me a second here while I do that. One second. All right. So we are going to let's see. All right. So now I need to get the Mark, could you go over into the other channel or the other episode and tell people to come over to this one? I can't figure out, it wouldn't let me start streaming. If so, that would be awesome sauce. Hi everybody. Give a few more minutes for folks to pop in. Oh, why is my real webcam not working? This is interesting. All sorts of issues I didn't have last time. Let's see here. All right. Copy. There we go. Thank you, Mark. How's it going, buddy? How you been? Now I can't figure out why it's not letting me use my Nikon as the webcam like it did last time. Let's see. There's a quick fix to that. I don't know. This is so insane. I tested all this stuff out. I had it going great. And then anyway, get started. And also, Mark, if you could also be my hero and occasionally pop into the other room and mention to folks that it's over on this channel now. Here, I'll give you the link. So I'm going to see if I can go over and fix things as well. Why are you not letting me use my... Okay. All right. Let's give a minute here for a few more folks to pop in. I am hoping to try and figure out why it's not letting me use my nice camera as a webcam. But I will do that while I wait for a few more folks to show up. see. No camera fixings there. Be sure to say hi, everybody, as you pop into the chat. Hello, Lorenz. Thank you for getting up at 11 or midnight your time to join what I was hoping to be a free episode, but it's just full of bloopers. I could not figure out how to start the live the live one that I had scheduled. There was no button for me to push that said go, so I just started a new stream. So I'm, as I'm talking here, I'm trying to spread the word through some of my other channels here and give some. Let's see. Let's see here. Give out a link to a few more people. Let's see. So anyway, yeah, I'm anxious to get this started. I'm really anxious to know that why, for whatever reason, that it is not working the way. I'm gonna just put another thing in chat. Over to. I was born in the wrong century. Yes, I was. Born in the wrong century. All right. How's everybody doing? So we got Mark and we got Lorenz. I'm going to talk about normally, my Nikon Z7 up there. This should be giving a much wider camera view, but I have my Pelican case sitting next to me. And I want to talk about a product that was developed that makes us photographers, or us nature photographers, can give us that much more peace of mind when we some camera gear out into the field, as they say, right? Did you get it right? Anyway, so yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about how this came about. Years ago, when I was in Virginia, a friend of mine named Sawyer was like, we should do like a podcast thing, and just talk about nature stories, crazy things that have happened to us in nature, etc. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea, but I had a million other things going on as usual. And so Chrissy, who's a friend of mine and a student of mine, she should be popping on here soon. Let me just give her the link as well. So she is a YouTube goddess, and she has been helping me. And one thing we discussed, was the option of me doing a weekly or regular live show on YouTube. And I agreed with it because I have a lot to say. Those of you who know me know that my sole driving force in life, my vision in this world, the work that has been mandated upon me by all of creation, is to lead as many people back to nature as I possibly can. I eat it, I drink it, I sleep it. It is everything. It is all encompassing. You know, uh, I jokingly, but not so jokingly, say, I don't take time off. The same as my father. There's no such thing as an off day. I am constantly figuring out ways that I can learn new things, increase my skill level, and just really get the most out of let's see, get some lag here. Yeah, I've got the settings all lowered, so that hopefully it'll clear up. I don't know why I don't have access to my camera. This I should have done a little more research before last time, or before this time, but I thought I had everything dialed in. Anyway, hopefully it clears up. So yeah, so my single-minded focus is to lead folks back to a connection with what was once our home, and not that long ago, you know, tens of thousands of years. Lead them back into nature and show them that there is this amazingly intricate web of life. And when you learn to connect to that web of life, you rapidly learn, with a little bit of other instructions, that you can provide all of your needs from the landscape around you. These days we live in a society of just, plastic throwaway. Every year there's a new iPhone. Every year there's a new this and a new that. Um, and these sterile things, that we all use on a daily basis, they don't have any heart. They don't have any soul. But when you make a tool, when you make, a Colburn bowl or a bone arrowhead, you are making a functional, one-of-a-kind piece of art that is unique to you, and it is unique to every other, bone arrow point in the world. I teach bone tool classes pretty regularly, and I can take 10 of my students' bone arrowheads and line them up next to each other, and sure, they look similar, but not as identical. If I took you know the 10 broadheads that I bought at a sporting goods store that were the same make and model and laid them all next out to each other, you'd clearly see the difference. So yeah, our species, we are Homo sapiens are still designed to, live in small groups, in a natural setting. And as I said before, it's really only been a few tens of thousands of years since most of us moved away from that existence. As we moved into a more agrarian based lifestyle, we started clearing land, uh, you know, which allowed us to grow food. So starvation wasn't so, worrying about starving wasn't a big a deal. Therefore, the populations could swell because you needed more people to work on the farms. And then flash forward to, the day they released the iPhone 14, and all this junk. And it just boggles my mind when you think that, I'm looking at a tree just to my left that's over 200 years old, and I think of, what that tree, what it has seen in its life. 200 years ago in Oregon, it was, you know, still a pretty wild place. Um, So yeah, anyway, I'm rambling. But yeah, so my goal, whether it's through my writing, my videos, and especially my photography, is to lead people back to nature. And I'm going to talk about photography for a moment. Um, people often ask me why I, have such a heavy kind of bent towards photography, and why it's a part of my life. I will tell you this right now. The reason it is because I use photography as another vehicle to connect people to nature. More importantly, in their awareness. Um, Most people in the modern world are frightfully unaware creatures. You see them, I call it the mindless gray masses. Anytime I have to go into the city, into Portland, and they're just walking down the street, facing the phone, just walking these ruts of just, desperate mediocrity, not noticing the wonderful things around them. And I like to use photography, especially macro photography, which is the close up photos, to point out to people that there are amazingly, stunningly beautiful things that are all around us at all times. Whether we're in the city or in an old growth forest like the one behind me. We have been led into this fast paced existence where it's just go, 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 got to get stuff done, deadlines, um, while also believing in the lies of the American dream, where, money is going to make you happy and many houses is going to make you happy. And these things all day long. So, uh, my photography, and I've been told this by many people, is that it has really forced them to slow down and be more aware and pay attention to what's going on around them. That's why one thing that just cracks me up is what I call the Disneyland photography spots. So my former partner went on a camping trip to Arches National Monument. Uh, and there's this certain time of year where the sun rises right up through an archway. And they had to get up at 3 in the morning and hike like 2 hours and then jockey in line, to get camera set up. And Lisa sent me a photo of this, and I was thinking that I could take, just in what I could see in the frame of the photo she sent me, I could take 10 photos that would be way better than the sunrise rising through that archway that a million other people have photographed. So yeah, photographers, you don't need to seek out exotic destinations. There can be beauty and amazing subjects to capture no matter where you are. So let's see. So a couple other things. The title of this episode originally was, what the what the F was I thinking? And elk. As I said, people ask me all the time, how come you don't do skills videos? How come you don't do, there's a million, everybody and their grandmother's doing skills videos, right? Some of them, some really talented people. With this show, I wanted to do something a little different. Occasionally, once I get more comfortable with the technology, I will start doing interviews with people, both here with me live and remotely. I'll do some, talk about different things I use. I'll talk about some skills, um, but just kind of my general thoughts on the world and how we can be better human beings. Um, as I said, my goal is to reach as many people as possible. The last shit 4 5 months have been some of the toughest in my 45 years of life on this planet. It has been a crazy time. I basically went from, uh, 11 years of just a fantastic, wonderful existence to all of a sudden being on my own, um, starting these two businesses, while working a job, while also trying to satiate that omnipresent urge and need to lead people back to nature. And it's crazy. It has been one thing after another. And it's true what my dad says in the higher level philosophy classes. Those of us that choose to be warriors for the light and do good for the earth and do good for each other. Um, people who do those works, with entities that will seek to knock you from your path. And lately, I am not a religious person in any way. I have read every religious text I've been able to get my hands on. But I, for those of you who are familiar with the Bible, you might as well change my name to Job lately. I have just had one thing after another. Everything from my Facebook account being hacked, which gave them access to my business and commerce suite. Um, they got a hold of my accounts. They drained thousands of dollars. Facebook, uh, even though I appealed it, they deleted my account that I've had since 2008. Um, as I said, it was tied into my business and commerce suite, which I'd use for targeted marketing to fill my classes and sell my photographs and my clothing. And all of that just got pulled out from under me. I still have access to Instagram. And this is yet another reason why I'm, doing this YouTube show. But, it sickens me that, uh, my account got hacked on June 22nd, and 4th of July weekend is when they chose to start stealing money because, right, 4th of July weekend. I have sent over 50 emails to 50 separate email addresses at Facebook or Meta or whatever the hell you want to call it, trying to get an answer. And you can't do it. It's impossible. So I lost all that. I have lost the ability to change what's on my Instagram shops. Um, it's just been a pain in the butt, because those are valuable resources. I mentioned earlier that we Homo sapiens, our technology has far outpaced our evolution, but I truly believe in using any tool for its intended purpose. And one of the fabulous things about the technology we have is it allows us to reach people instantly across the world. If you told me 20 years ago that I would be talking into my computer and somebody in another country, you'd be watching me live, you know, I would have said, well, hell no. Although there were many movies that promised us flying cars and such by now. But, you know, I want to use these technologies properly, not to, you know, uh, like a lot of people do, to, you know, sow division amongst people who don't agree exactly how they do, which is a completely planned thing, by the way. But yeah, we are being forcefully divided by entities that, and by entities, I mean everything from governments to corporations. You know, we are being forcefully pitted against each other so that we don't see the real destruction that's going on. You know, the destruction of our one and only home, the earth. You know, my father's mentor said it best. You know, we are a society of people that kills our grandchildren to feed our children. You know, we do things in such a short-sighted way without thinking of, you know, how is me doing X going to affect generations of not just humans, but the more than human world, you know, 1 generation, 2 generations, 10 generations down the line. You know, I tell my students this when it, you know, to practice the skills I teach. You know, we need, you know, raw materials. Oh, I can't reach it. There's a big log or sapling next to me. You know, we need raw materials. There's just no way around it. You know, for there to be life, there has to be death, and vice versa. But I also teach them to approach life from the place of the caretaker, which I truly believe is the meaning of life. You know, we are meant to be capital C caretakers, taking care of each other, you know, healing some of those rifts, and then focusing on healing the planet. But yeah, when I go out and collect raw materials, you know, I seek out either invasive species to use, you know, or if I need a sapling for something, I'm going to cut a sapling in an area where there's far too many saplings, and most of them are going to die off because they're so, you know, crowded next to each other. So I'll remove one from there so that, you know, it's going to help that population be stronger. You know, if I'm hunting, I wanna hunt like the wolf. You know, I'm not after the trophy animal that's got the really good genetics. You know, I want the animal that's a little bit smaller, or maybe it has an injury or something like that. But yeah, I always, whenever I go out there and harvest anything, before I cut any plant, you know, remove any rock, you know, gather some edible plants, I always ask, you know, by removing this thing, what am I leaving behind for those that are coming after me? And I'm not meaning it in a selfish way, as in, you know, for humans. You know, in fact, they're the least of my concern. I'm more concerned of, you know, what am I leaving behind for the more than human world? You know, because we have so drastically altered every landscape. You know, we live in places where we shouldn't, you know, pretty if you want to talk about the West Coast, you know, pretty much anywhere south of the Santa Cruz, you know, you know how much water they pipe in from rivers thousands and thousands of miles away to things, grow things there. Uh, take. We're a society of takers, and my main focus as of late is turning takers into caretakers. You know, we've all heard the you know, the saying, you know, leave no trace, right? Um, and typically that means if you're going to go camping in the woods, you you obviously take all your garbage out with you. You scatter your campsite back to the earth. In fact, in my teachings, it is a absolute rule that, when you're done with that fire pit and I come around, you better have camouflaged that back to almost exactly what it looked like before you made that fire there. But I want to take the idea of leave no trace, mix it up with the capital C caretaker. And, I want to start training and teaching people how to, no matter where you go throughout your day, no matter who you come in contact with, that, after you leave that place or you leave that person or that group of people, they're better, that place is better than it was when you got there. Some obvious things we can do are things like picking up trash. That's pretty obvious. What's less obvious and what you have to use and heighten your awareness for is recognizing, when you're visiting with a friend and maybe they're struggling with something, and because you've learned to heighten your awareness, you pick up on that and are able to help that friend work through those issues. Um, and there's, so many different things that we can do. One story I'm reminded of from long ago. Sorry, I'm just trying to get I really want my other camera to work. I don't know why it isn't. But one story I want to share from a long time back in my life. I was still working with my dad, and we were out in California teaching some camps. And one day I had to run out to the store real quick, and I went to some, convenience store, whatever. And there was this woman who came in before me, and she had 3 little kids with her, and these little kids were like hell on earth. They were running through the store, grabbing this, grabbing that. Mommy, I want this. Mommy, I want that. Yada, yada, yada. And, finally they get up to the register, just before me. And the clerk behind the counter, he, rings her up and basically says, I forget how much it was. And she was like 37 cents short. And I could just see this look on her face where her face just went white as she thought of, taking the kids out to the car, digging through, looking for 37 cents and coming back. And I just tapped her on the shoulder, and I felt at that moment when I saw her pallor change, my inner vision went off. I got that feeling in my chest, like, here's an opportunity, you can help. And I reached into my pocket and I tapped her on the shoulder and I said, ma'am, I said, here you go, you can take $1. And she looks at me and looks at the dollar and looks at me, and tears just start streaming out of her eyes. And she said, it's going to make me cry telling this story, but, people have been treating me like shit all day. They don't recognize what I do for them. And you are the first person today to do something truly nice for me. And that really means the world to me. So simple little acts of kindness like that can go a long way. So long story short, moral of the story, be good to your fellow human beings. All right, 1 second. I want to make a quick alteration. Something. Sorry. All right. There we go. Hopefully that'll bring some more people. And I'm still bummed I can't figure out how to get my webcam going. Maybe this is why I should have listened to my peoples and, watch some videos on how to do this before doing my second episode. But what the hell? Just go in strong. All right. So let me cancel this. Okay. So let me open my notebook here. Got a few things I want to talk about. Anybody got any questions, comments, thoughts thus far? Just feel free to throw them up in the chat. I'm actually gonna check some settings on my camera over here to see if I can actually get this thing to work. All right, anybody? Any questions? This is so weird that this is not working. All right, let me give one more second for questions while I try to get this sorted out. Why can't this just be like Zoom where there's a thing where you can hear, thanks, Lawrence. Yeah, I've got many stories like that I'll tell of this show, as the episodes progress. No, cancel. But yeah, just recognizing, being able to recognize when you have an opportunity, to help, to be a caretaker, to be a good human being. And it's infective. If people see you walking down the street picking up trash, they will start doing it. The same reason why trash will attract trash. One exercise my father had several classes do over the years is we would go to a pretty pristine area in the Pine Barrens, and we would find a find a spot that there was no trash, and we just put like one beer can there, and within a couple of days it would attract a whole bunch of trash, because people would see that trash and that would just instantly take away their responsibility for keeping the area nice. And but the same works with cleaning up as well. Here where I am in in Oregon, at the edge of Mountain Hood National Forest, just hundreds of thousands of acres. You drive down some of these forest roads and people just go out there camping, and then they leave all their shit behind. Their tent, they'll burn it, they leave all their trash. You could go up there right now and we could fill a whole car full of contractor bags of trash that people leave behind. And it just bothers me so much. Hey, how's it going, Jesse? So, I know it's people's like deep, need and want to be in nature that out there, but then, we got to work on the like picking up after yourself. Yeah, it's just, it's horrible out there. It's just sad to see. But yeah, back to the, back to the struggles of being a small business owner. I remember when I ran my dad's school and worked with him until 2009, and I made a decision that I needed to on my own, and teach for a while and kind of, be responsible for my own face. I think it was Bob Dylan who said that. But just, figure out my own thing, my own vision. Of course, my father's visions and mine are nearly identical, but there is variances. Um, you know, uh, leaving and I started a school called the Primitive Arts Collective, and I thought, I'm T3, I'm a well-known wilderness instructor. I'm not going to have any problem, booking classes. Boy, was I mistaken. One of the banes that has affected us like a plague is these survival-based TV shows that are out there. People ask me all the time, you should be on this show, you should be on that show. I've been the first person or one of the persons they've offered every one of those new shows to. Got offered to replace Bear Grylls when he got fired, when one of my students ratted him out for going back to a hotel at night. Those shows have done more damage to the nature connection movement than anything. And the reason is this. Number one, they perpetuate the myth of humans and nature in an adversarial relationship. One thing I've learned in my 45 years of practicing these skills and my 22 years of teaching them is that if you try to fight nature, you will get your ass kicked every goddamn time. It's not the way we're meant to do it. We're meant to surrender to nature. We're meant to learn and pay attention to the animals. We're meant to have this fabulous sense of awareness that the ease of modern society has stripped from us. And it's really sad to see some people go into the woods, but then it's also just equally wonderful when you train people to move a little bit differently and look upon the world a little bit differently, how much they begin to notice. So I don't like those shows because they perpetuate that, man versus wild, naked and afraid, like nature's this big scary thing. Nature is nature. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. It is cruel. It is everything, and if you don't fight it, don't fight being cold, don't fight being hot or wet, those things, that just makes them worse. Acknowledge them, allow them to pass through you, but we're a lot tougher than we give ourselves credit for. And so they perpetuate that myth of humans and nature adversarial relationship. Number two, they're using something that is sacred to me, which is nature and nature skills and hunter-gatherer skills, as another vehicle to showcase human drama. I also, once again, I've had many friends who have been on every show there is, and there is nothing real about them. I had a friend who did a episode of a very well-known show where people don't wear clothes. By the end of the 21 days, her and her partner had built a shelter. She made cordage clothing and shoes for them. They made a full set of tools. They ate every night. Yet when they put the episode together, they basically cobbled the episode together from. The worst thing about these shows, however, it caused anybody who ever spent a night in a tent to all of a sudden become a wilderness survival expert. When when my father started his school in 1978, there other organization in this country, the Boulder Outdoor Survival School, and they were more climbing and like desert treks. When I left my dad's school in 2009, there were like, a couple dozen schools, most of them, former students of his. Now there are literally hundreds of them out there. So you have all these these people teaching skills that they've never lived, and they're putting people in danger. A couple months ago in France, a guy killed one of his students by telling him that poison hemlock was wild carrot. In the in the quest to be the best teacher I can, I have purposely given myself hypothermia. I've purposely given myself hyperthermia. I've purposely tried to dehydrate myself to death. I've gone out at night with just whatever I have on, and wrapped myself in one of those silver survival blankets and tucked up against a tree to see what that's like. All to be a better teacher. Most of these other people out there, they don't have the experience. And it's sad because they could literally give you information that will kill you, or not give you information that may kill you. Yeah. So that's why I avoid those like the plague, and I'll do my own show and it'll be better. But yeah, I can't tell you how many producers I've talked to, people who have no idea what I do or what those of us that do this do. And they're just looking at it from that money angle, and it's sad because there's opportunity out there for really powerful nature education online, which is another thing I'm going to talk about here in a second. Yeah. So it's just created a whole bunch of problems. Speaking of that, in my quest to forever reach as many people as possible, I developed a series of 7 online classes to nature awareness, animal track, yada, yada, yada. Those classes, they're 2.5, 3 hours long. You get a recording at the end, and individually they are $100. But if you sign up for what I call the all-in-one package, which is also my favorite Bob Marley and the Wailers tune, you get all 7 for $350, and they don't have to be taken in any specific order, in any specific time frame. You can tell me what ones you want to take when, and I'll make sure you get an invitation. So I'm going to be developing online learning stuff to go along with my master class that I with April Vokey and Anchored Outdoors. Some chapters to my master class as well. So a couple other cool things I got going on is, I think next weekend. So next weekend, then there's still space in this class. So if you're watching, you guys know anybody who might be interested, I'm going down to a place called the Sharpening Stone, which is a piece of land owned by my buddy Adam LaRue and his partner Sarah. And every year they host a primitive skills gathering. I first met Adam way back in the day at tracker school when he came there, and he didn't know anything. And now he's got this off-grid, just beautiful, care-took piece of land in Southern Oregon. So we're doing a class next, everything to do with water other than drinking it. So we're going to teach you fishing techniques for catching crawdads. We're going to do a bunch of work with cattails, including weaving a badass cattail hat, like a brimmed hat. You can go on my website on my schedule page and see a photo of one. I'll put those in the show notes at the end. Another class we're doing is called Tracks and Trapping. That's also an overnight 2-day class where we'll study the art form of trapping, primitive trapping, and animal tracking, because you can't be a good trapper without being a good tracker, and vice versa. Another class that we were really surprised and nobody signed up for was a class called Skin and Bones. Adam and I are both two tall, lanky guys, and we developed a class that was going to go over taking a rabbit and showing people how to properly butcher a small animal, and then you get to tan the hide during the class. And then when we're not working on hide stuff, I'll be teaching you about making bone tools. If we are ever lost in the woods, and we don't have our fixed blade or our trusty folding knife on us, we have a couple options for cutting edges. There's flint knapping, which is, breaking certain kinds of rocks in a controlled manner to get a sharp thing. Or there's animal bones, which you use a rock to abrade into shape. And poor teacher, I don't have examples. I always teach bone tools first because anywhere in the woods you can find animal bones, but not every rock be flint knapped. Only rocks that have a high silica content can be successfully flint knapped, but you can find animal bones everywhere. So yeah, we were really surprised there was no movement in class, so we may push it back and try to do it in November. And then we're also doing a mushrooms basics class November 5th and 6th. And my students, in this area for years have been asking for a mushroom class, and only one person has signed up, which is really weird. So yeah, that class is going to be awesome. I also have been in touch recently with a local mushroom expert up here in the Sandy area, and we're going to be doing some classes together as well. But yeah, it's going to be an awesome class. So one offer I want to throw out there to you all, and feel free to share this with people who are in the area and might want to make any of those classes. You can go to my website, tombrown3.com, and then go to the schedule page. But if they use the code capital I _C, like C Vision, I'll put it in the chat right now. Let's see, I _C. They will get a 10% discount on anything, whether it's photography, whether it's class, anything like that. So yeah, this whole like social media thing where I've lost access to marketing has really hurt my business, and I am like hanging on by a thread on many levels. I jokingly posted a picture of me eating a bag of Mountain House the other night, and like I wasn't eating that out of choice. I was eating that out of necessity, because yeah, opening two businesses, one of them being a photography business, it costs money, and I had another thing that was supposed to happen to help me out, through the winter, a regular teaching gig, which I found is no longer an option, which is hurtful on many levels. But that's a story for another day. But yeah, being an entrepreneur sucks. My ultimate goal, my dream, if Gandalf the White were to appear in front of me and ask me, grant me one wish, I would say, make it so I can teach for free. Yeah, I don't want to charge money for the information I have. these skills, the skills I have in my brain, learned from my father and others, they belong to all of us. They're all right. If you trace your ancestry back far enough, if there were people who were experts, far better than I am at the skills I teach. In fact, they were so good that if they weren't good, you wouldn't be here right now. Your genetic line would have gotten eaten by a cave lion or a short-faced bear or something like that. So yeah, to something to keep in mind, but yeah, that's my ultimate goal. And I'm ironically, I'm hoping things like cryptocurrency, this digital thing is what's going to help make that possible. So some ways you can help support me in that is I have a Patreon page, and I'm going to be putting uh, my Bitcoin and my Ethereum wallet address in my my bio here on YouTube, so that if people want to, they can donate. I'm trying to get to a point where I can take 15% of every sale, whether it's a class or a photo print, and put it in a fund. And then I'm going to start off by doing one class a year for like 20 or 30 people. I'll hire some of my old buddies who are some of the most amazing instructors of these skills on the planet. I'll pay them. And you have to submit an application to prove that, you can't afford a good nature class. I really want to focus on underserved peoples. Um, and hopefully one class a year will turn into two, and we'll get this ball rolling. Um, yeah, so a couple other things. I'm gonna wrap it up here soon because I'm getting hungry. So I wanted to talk about elk for a minute. So, uh, you know, as a photographer, I've got two dreams around here. One dream is to catch a photo of a mountain lion, which I have many times on trail cams. But my other dream is to catch two big bull elk duking it out, in the morning, ideally when it's cool still, so you can see the steam of their breath. And I've got the perfect location to do this, and the elk rut is starting here pretty quick. So I plan on spending quite a few out there in a little bivy sack with my camera gear ready to go, to try to get that photo. Um, yeah, and with my photography, the stuff that's on my website for sale, those are poster prints that are on the cheaper side. I wanted to make them really affordable, but I can get my photos printed on anything if you'd like. If there's a particular photo I posted on Instagram you like, I can get it printed on anything from metal to acrylic to glass, you name it. So you can email me through the website if you want a custom design. But yeah, so some other things I'm looking for right now as a small business owner who's, cash poor but mindful. I'm looking to like trade people skills that I know for skills they know, like SEO work on websites and things like Google AdWords and AdSense, and these things that my brain cannot grasp them. Like I said, I was born in the wrong century. So yeah, I just need help. That's the main thing. It's I believe in my vision. I know one day it will come to fruition. But until then, got to pay the bills, got to figure out a way to pay the bills. So I'm going to be running lots of sales, especially on my photography and things like that. But yeah, other than teaching classes, I also offer to do is go out and photograph, people's fishing trips and hunting trips, and going onto people's land and photographing the nature on their land, and then having a set number of prints they want printed, that we agree upon. And then, with my commercial drone operator's license, I'm looking to pick up some side work there as well. But one thing I want to say before I go is, recently, I'm always trying to modify things to make them better. Now, with the primal skills I teach, they can't be modified to make them better. It's just, you're talking about things that are, 10,000 years in the making, or 100, millions of years in the making sometime. But with new stuff, there's always room for improvement. So, as a professional photographer, I am often toting around photography gear that, if I were to sell it all, could probably buy a decent house with. And there are a million ways to protect your camera gear. There's bags, there's slings, there's all that stuff. But the ultimate in camera protection, is the good old fashioned Pelican case, right? This thing is like, uh, you know, it's high impact plastic. It's waterproof. It floats. But as somebody who often goes hiking, anywhere from 1 to 5 miles back in the woods to take photos, I don't want to, I don't want to be walking through the woods like this with this giant case, and then having to put it down every time I take a picture. So I started to think, I was like, I bet you I could come up. I have a million backpacks. I was like, I bet you I could like Frankenstein together a bunch of my different backpacks and make a thing. So I was doing some research online, and then I came upon this company called Ruckpack, and they're joining us now in this live stream, and they're from the UK, and they beat me to the punch. So check this out. So on the back of my Pelican case is a full backpacking harness. So out here in the Pacific Northwest, where it rains 9 months of the year, even camera bags that claim to be waterproof aren't. But I know that shit that goes in here is waterproof. So it takes a lot for me to officially endorse a product. There's very few that I do, but this thing is amazing. And I'm actually going to be posting a more in-depth review of this piece of gear. It works with a few different companies' flight cases, meaning that this is legal carry-on size for any airline I've ever flown on with it. And that's been pretty much every airline. Super easy to install. And it's just really awesome. It's like a super game changer. I'll flip it down so you can see. But yeah, you'll be getting a much more. I got to finish on some editing. I'm going to be doing like a video review that I'll be uploading in the next day or so. But I'm trying to think what else is going on. Week after next, I think Andrea Kreiner from Red Cedar Forest Therapy and I, we are, I'm just looking at my calendar down here. Yeah, Saturday the 24th. Andrea Kreiner, she's a forest therapist based in Portland. Her and I are doing a about the healing power of nature, essentially what it, in a nutshell. She's going to talk a lot about the science and her method, and I'm going to talk about mine. That's another goal with Future Nature, is to work and partner with as many like-minded organizations as possible. Because the only reason our ancestors made it to the point to where we're sitting here right now was because there was a group of them and they worked together. They weren't at odds with each other. So the only way we're going to cause any real change in this world is to work together. So yeah, I am interested in working with any and all organizations that where our visions align. So, one thing I ask all of you watching, because I've had my ability to share my schedule on social media taken from me, um, if you all could do it on your personal pages. I still have access to Instagram. I post links there when I update my schedule. You can for my newsletter. I always send out an email blast when I update my schedule. And then, yeah, so this YouTube live thing is gonna keep going. Next weekend, I probably won't do an episode, like a full episode. I'll probably do a shorty during lunch break, during class, um, if the internet is good enough down there. But if not, I will, um, if you just check back my YouTube channel, it'll tell you when the next date is. So I apologize for the beginning kerfuffle. I need to do some more research on how to actually start the live that you scheduled. But before I go, does anybody have any questions? Anything they want to ask? Classes they'd like to see if they're in the area, or online classes they'd like to see? Anybody? Bueller? Yeah, don't worry, Jesse. We're gonna go tenkara fishing. Don't you worry. Actually, yeah, Jesse, I'm gonna. All right, everybody. Well, I'm gonna bounce, and um, thank you all so much for your love and support and everything. It means the world to me. Um, okay, cool, Mark. That's a good idea. But yeah, so now that you're all subscribed to my channel. Oh, one last thing. When I hit 250 subscribers, I'm going to be randomly choosing a subscriber to give away free 24 by 36-inch photo print too. So spread the word about my channel. Spread the word about my schedule and my blog posts on Facebook, especially because that's the one I don't have access to. That would be hugely helpful. And once the stream ends, it'll end up in the T3Live thing, so you can go back and watch it if you want. And I'm going to add some show notes as well at the bottom. All right, y'all. Peace and love. Peace and love. You guys have been awesome.